And we do have stocks recovering from earlier losses, but not tech shares. Not only do you have those disappointing earnings from Microsoft and Amazon, but other technology stocks are also weighing down the S&P 500. Let's bring in Bloomberg's Zara Burton to walk us through the technology trade. So who are we talking about exactly here, Zara?
Well, Gigi, we're talking about chip stocks, which are doing worse than the overall market today. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index off about 2% as we speak, compared to the NASDAQ, as you can see, down less than 1%. Now, the chip names that we're talking about that are doing the worst, you're talking about Broadcom, which makes chips for mobile phones, down close to about 8% right now. It was down as much as 10% earlier on. Remember, this is a company that actually supplies the likes of Nokia with chips. And remember, Nokia just last week was talking about handsets that they were actually losing out to iPhone and BlackBerry. So that caused them to reduce their profit forecast. So you're starting to see that trickle through to Broadcom's profit off about 90% in part because of that. So also being hurt today, lower demand for chips in the MEMC Electronic Materials Company, off by more than 16% at one point, now down about 10%. This company makes silicon wafers for semiconductors and the solar industry, profits plunging 96%. One analyst saying this week there's still too much supply of chips on the market and not enough demand to work down that inventory, Gigi.
So how do we square these negative reports with the positive report from Intel that came last week?
Well, you know, these chip makers are not seeing anything different necessarily from Intel because profits and sales at Intel were hurt by the recession and weak demand in the quarter that just ended. But if you remember, what gave the street hope was their forecast for sales in the current quarter. And these two companies kind of saying the same thing, that sales could come in better than some analysts are expecting for the third quarter. Now, MEMC saying that semiconductor demand will improve in the third quarter. Again, we saw that with Intel CFO. They're saying that the bottom was in the first quarter for demand, signaling really that the worst is behind us. A lot of people positive about technology. You're not seeing strength in the NASDAQ today, but overall it's been on a tear all year long. And so some investors still saying tech is a great bet. Back to you.
Okay, it's not all bad news from the tech industry. Thanks, Zara.